So my name's Ron. I'm a crystal meth addict. My sobriety date is 9/5/02, so I've been sober for 17 years. I am one of those addicts that talks about what it was like before I got sober, because I really believe it's in the insanity and the powerlessness. That shit we go through out there on the street, that's the stuff that the newcomer relates to. You know, when you sit up here and you just paraphrase pages out of the big book, they watch their watch and they're waiting to leave. You know what I mean? You need to talk about where they're at so that they can understand that I'm just like them. You know what I mean? So they know that I've been where they've been. I get it. You know what I mean? And so that's what I do. I want to let you know that long before I ever took a drink or a drug, I was suffering from what the big book calls a spiritual malady. And what that means, and I didn't know this when I got here, but what I've come to understand is that what that means is I believe that deep down inside of every man, woman, and child is a fundamental idea of God. And we stuff pain, and we stuff shame, and we stuff guilt, and we stuff all this crap between us and that idea of God, and our spirit becomes broken, sickened. Right? And so while I'm out there on the street, my whole freaking life, I'm stumbling around in this spiritual malady and I don't even know. All I know is that I'm not okay. All I know is that I don't fit in. All I know is that my mom and dad must not love me. You know, and it doesn't matter where I go or what I do, I don't belong. So I spent most of my childhood trying to fit in. You know, all I ever wanted to be as a child was okay. And I never got to do that as a child. I never got to feel okay. You know, so at 15 years old, I'm on the street. And I'm full of anger, fear, resentment, and I don't have the coping skills to deal with that. So I did like a lot of us do, though, when we got nowhere to go. I went to this person's house. I went to that person's house. I did the little couch surfing thing. Eventually, I found myself sleeping on the side of people's houses, the back of people's trucks. You know, and I was constantly looking for an outside solution for my inside problem. And I didn't know that it didn't work. You know, so I'm constantly out there trying to find something outside of me to help me feel okay. And so I start chasing the guys, because if I find the right guy, I'll be alright, you know what I mean? And so I start chasing the guys, and I chase them to the bars, and the problem with the bars is they close. You know, so when the bars close, where do you go? What do you do, you know? So I go to the pool halls, because pool halls stay open all night, right? So I chase the guys from the bars to the pool halls. And these people in these pool halls, they let me hang out with them. And I thought that meant they liked me, you know, because I needed so desperately to fit in. I wanted to feel like I was a part of something. I wanted to feel like I mattered to somebody. And they let me hang out with them, and I thought that meant they liked me, so I became absolutely willing to do anything that they were doing. And they got high. So I got high. And when I got high, everything changed, you know? That thing that I was looking for as a child, when I got high, I thought I was okay. So this is how you do it. I finally know how to be okay. I just got to get high and stay high, right? And so I set off on that course. Almost 10 years later, I'm really good at getting high. I got all the connections, and I got all the hookups, and I finally got to that place where you think you're the shit. I got there, right? So I think I'm the shit, and I'm at the top of my game. And I start hemorrhaging, and I have to get air vac to the hospital because I lost so much blood. And I get to the hospital, and the doctor in the emergency room tells me I'm 5.5 months pregnant, and the baby's trying to abort. And I didn't know that I was pregnant. So now this doctor in the emergency room is the very first person in almost 10 years of using that mentioned I might have a drug problem. He asked me if I was an addict. And I remember being completely offended by the fact that he would even say such a thing to me. Of course I'm not an addict. I only get high when I want to, not because I have to. An addict's got to get high. I don't gotta. He said, all right, so when's the last time you didn't wanna? Shit. I got nothing. I couldn't think of a single time almost 10 years that I didn't need to be high. So now I'm in this emergency room, and they're telling me if they stop the bleeding, I'm going to have a baby. I ain't trying to have no baby. And that means that dude that I'm just hanging out with, now he's going to be my old man? Yeah, I ain't trying to have no man. I ain't trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to do enough dope to be okay with myself. Anyways, they ended up hospitalizing me for 1.5 months. 1.5 months later, I get out of the hospital, and I got a family. I got an old man. I got a kid. And I go back to this dude's house, and I don't know about you guys, but I get in relationships that I don't care to be in. They're uncomfortable. They're sometimes abusive. And we stay in that shit anyway, right? We stay in these relationships that we don't want to be in, and we're freaking miserable in, and we hold on to it with claw marks like we can't live without it, you know? And I can't freaking stand it. But I'm completely irresponsible. So I get pregnant again, and then I get pregnant again, and now I got 3 kids with some dude I don't even like. And I got these 3 kids, you know, and they're like flipping crying all the time, and they like want me to feed them and stuff, and I'm supposed to change their diapers and stuff, and that dude, he wants to come home to a clean house, and I'm supposed to cook them dinner, and I'm supposed to care about them, and I don't. I just don't. You know, so I'm trying to do enough dope to be okay with all of that, But there ain't enough dope to be okay with all that. There ain't enough. I'm not okay. So I'm angry. I'm angry at him because I'm stuck with these kids and it's all his fault. And I'm angry at these kids because I'm stuck with their dad and it's all their fault and it's everybody else's fault that I'm not okay anymore. So what I come to understand that what that really is fear. I am so emotionally disconnected that I can't show up for those children. Because in my delusion, I have no value. And I truly believe that those children are better off without me in their life. And I can't believe that this man loves me. I can't. And it doesn't matter how much dope I do anymore, I can't believe it. I don't belong here. If the best thing I can do for them is to leave. And so I get up and I walk out of that 3-bedroom townhouse and I don't go back. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Phoenix, but every town's got a south side, you know what I mean? Where everybody goes. So I go down to the south side of Phoenix and there's an empty lot down there on the that used to belong to my father before my father died. And I go into this empty lot and I build an 8x12 box out of pallets. And I'm starting to feel okay again. You see, it doesn't matter that I don't have a change of clothes, or I don't have any food, or I don't have any money. It doesn't even matter that I just left 3 little babies for their daddy to take care of, you see. All that matters is I can get as high as I want, whenever I want. And I don't have to care about anybody. I don't have to let anybody care about me. That means I'm not going to disappoint anybody, So I'm down there in the lot, and the girls that work Buckeye and Van Buren, those are the streets out there that the prostitutes work on, you know what I'm saying? And the guys from over at the rescue mission, we're all kicking it, and life is good, And then one day this car rolls up to the lot, and it's my kids' grandma, and she has all 3 of my kids, and she says their daddy went to jail, and they're yours. So she left me those babies that day. So now I got 3 little kids, and I'm living in a flipping box in South Phoenix. So I don't know about you guys, but there's 2 ways I learned how to deal with life. I either smoke enough dope to forget about it, or I smoke enough dope to figure it out. And that's how I deal with everything. Because see, the dope is the solution. It's the only thing I've ever found that's allowed me to live in my own skin. And so I smoked enough dope to figure this out. I trade the guy a couple yards over for some electricity. He lets me run an extension cord out of his breaker box across one lot into the lot that I'm in. I trade somebody else for a refrigerator. We throw some hot dogs and water in there. The kids are cool. They think we're camping. Because, see, your kids will let you drag them through anything. Because all they want to do is be where you are. Right? All they want to do is be with mommy, and that's all that matters to them. And it doesn't cross my mind that my kids shouldn't be living this way because I'm selfish and I'm self-centered. And the only thing that crosses my mind is I didn't think I could be a mommy, but look at me go. I got this. Now, I'm going to fast forward through the time I lived in that lot, but I want to let you know I lived in that lot for 8 years. Okay, I wasn't homeless for the weekend. I didn't have a bad month. My best thinking said that that was okay. And if it's okay, we don't do anything about changing it. You know how we lie to ourselves so we can continue to use the way we like to use? How we tell ourselves it is what it is. I'm doing the best I can. The world doesn't treat me right. And then a week turns into a month. And a month turns into a year. And 8 years later, I'm still there lying to myself and I don't even freaking know. I don't even know. So anyway, as time moves on though, somewhere in my addiction, I get really fond of trash. Like I like dumpsters, and I like alleys, and I can't stand it when people throw their garbage away in them black bags, because I can't see what's in it, and I gotta freaking know. I'm like, for reals, I'm 17 years sober, I still can't drive by a bunch of black bags on the curb without pumping my brakes. I'm like, what's in it? Was that in that bag? Was that clothes? What is that? I don't stop anymore, but I still slow down. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I really like trash. So, one day I leave my kids with the prostitutes from the truck stop, and I go down my little trash route. And I turned down this alley and I couldn't believe it. Somebody had thrown away the only one thing in this world that would make my life better than what it was. A toilet. That's exactly what I needed. What homeless person don't need a toilet, right? So I'm hurrying off to get my shopping cart and I'm trying to get back to it before somebody else gets it, because everybody else wants it, right? And I rolled up in there and it was still there. I was like, hell yeah, score! And I loaded my toilet into my shopping cart with all my other fine collectibles. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because when you see the lady pushing the shopping cart down the road, shit's always stacked up really high and things be hanging off the side of the cart and stuff. But for the grace of God, there go I. You see, that's me. That lady pushing the shopping cart down the road that you don't want to make eye contact with, that's me. And let me tell you about me at that point. I weighed 80 pounds. That's like 45 pounds less than I weigh now. I got 7 or 8 broken teeth in the front of my mouth. I got pick sores all over my body. I got bald spots all over my head where I tweaked on my head and I hadn't showered in months. And that's where my addiction takes me. In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about it. It tells me in the big book my addict's life becomes so normal that I can't differentiate the true from the false. See, obviously I can't differentiate true from false if I think leaving my kids in a box in a field is I. Or if I think finding a toilet in an alley is a score. Obviously I can't tell the difference anymore. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I push the shopping cart up into the lot, and the kids see the toilet, and they're all like, yay! They're all super stoked, because now we got a toilet. And I take the toilet to the backside of the property, because on the backside of the property there's this storm sewer drain thing, right? And we put the toilet on top of it, we hook up the water illegally, we stick a hose in the back of the toilet, and it flushed. I'm like, hell yeah! Right? It flushed. And so I built a box around the toilet. And now I got the box with the toilet, and I got the box with the sleeping bed that we're sleeping in, and in my delusion, we're living the dream. I mean, I got it going on. If somebody had said poor Rhonda, I'd have thought they were crazy. Because in my delusion, there was nothing missing from my life. We had everything we needed in my delusion. Right? So as time moves on, though, I start getting really sick. Like bad sick. Like I don't have enough energy to stand up on my own anymore. And remember how attractive I told you I was? All 80 sucked up pounds of me? Well, I also had this thing growing out the side of my neck. Looked like a little head sitting on my shoulder. And the girls from the street or the guys from the mission would come over and they're like, dude, what is that? And they're pointing at this thing on my neck. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Just give me the pipe. I don't know what it is, you know? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. We don't want it more. You know? That's how scary I look. They don't want to touch it because I touched it. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody I've known since I was a child comes over and he says, man, Rhonda, honey, you're freaking dying. You need to go to the hospital. And I manipulate the situation because we get really good at manipulation while we're out there, right? And I play that mommy card. And I tell him I can't. I got kids to take care of. He goes, no, honey, you don't get it. You're freaking dying. You need to go to the hospital. And I said, I can't. You know, I got these kids. There's nobody else. There's nobody but me to take care of these kids. I can't go. And he goes, check it out. I'll bail their daddy out of jail, and their daddy can take them if you'll go to the hospital for me. I'm like, Daddy, come get these kids. Go get them. I'll do whatever you want. He bails Daddy out of jail. Daddy takes the kids. I go to the hospital, and they diagnose me with lymphoma cancer. I have a malignant tumor in my neck. I have cancerous cells clustered under my left arm, the right side of my groin, and it had metastasized on the diaphragm surrounding my heart and lungs because I had let it spread through my body. And I was devastated. You know, it broke my heart. It took my breath away. And I'd love to be able to tell you it broke my heart because my kids weren't going to have a mommy, or because there's so many wonderful things in life that I'm not going to get a chance to do now. But you see, that's not it. What broke my heart is they told me I'm going to die up in this hospital. It means I'm never going to get high again. Yeah, I can't do that. You know, they don't understand, you know. They just gave me some really effed up news, and I need my solution. Right? I can't stay here. You know, I can't even work up the fear of dying. I'm more afraid that I won't be able to get high over it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm in the hospital for quite a while, but and I thought about my kids later, you know. But if you suffer from the disease of addiction, drugs and alcohol come first. And I bet if you look into your own experience, you see those times where you got high and you didn't wanna. Man, you didn't wanna. You know, or you had something really important that you were supposed to do, maybe, like show up for Christmas. You know, and this year's going to be different. I promise we're going to spend the night together, and I'm going to have presents, and it's going to be good this year. I promise it'll be good this year, you know? And I show up at New Year's with an excuse. You know, or those times where I don't know, like my little girl, Grandma gives her a birthday party because Mama's not capable of giving her a birthday party. So Grandma gives her a birthday party, and nobody's allowed to cut the cake till Mommy shows up, you know? And my little girl falls asleep beside her birthday cake because Mommy don't show up. You know? So I bet if you look into your own experience, you'll see those things, those times. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I thought about my kids later, and while I was in the hospital, I reacted really well to chemotherapy, and they told me they could install this catheter thing in my chest and let me go home and spend some time with my family before I passed. And I didn't tell them I lived in a box. I didn't think they'd let me go home, you know? So we made a deal. The deal is I'm going to take these chemos by mouth every single day, 33 flipping pills a day, right? And then I'm going to come back every Monday. They're going to pump me full of 6 hours worth of chemotherapy, and we're going to do this for as long as we can do this, and that's the deal. So I leave the hospital, and I get back, and my kids' hearts are breaking because their mommy's dying, and they don't have the coping skills to deal with that. My kids' dad, who's in a different relationship than me, this man loves me, you know? And he don't know what he's going to do or how he's going to take care of these kids. And everybody's sad. And everybody's angry. And we're all freaking tripping, because we don't know how to deal with this shit. We don't know how to deal with it, So I only know one way to deal, and that means I need to get to my solution. And I can't get to my solution with them stuck to me. And they won't let me out of their sight, not even for a minute, because they're afraid I'll die and they'll never see me again. So they're like clinging to me. And I can't freaking stand it, man. I can't stand it. I need to get to my solution. So they gotta go, because everything that gets between me and my dope goes away. So I manipulate their daddy. I tell them, I don't want my kids to watch me die, so you need to take them and you need to leave. And I make them all go away. See, all they want to do is spend as much time with mommy as they can before mommy dies, and I can't give them that. I just can't do it. So I push my family away. Now, for a little while, I was really good at making it to chemotherapy. For a little while. But if you're an addict like me, only one thing makes you feel better. The dope. So I started mixing meth with chemo. Now, I wasn't doing it to get high or anything. I was just doing it because in my delusion, if I got high, I didn't get sick. See? The dope keeps you from getting sick. That's a wonderful plan, right? And so I started mixing meth with chemo. And the problem with that is, once I start, I don't stop. And so I leave the hospital after getting pumped full of 6 hours worth of chemotherapy. The whole time I'm taking my chemos by mouth, I'm getting high. I got to go back a week later. I've been up since I was there the week before. I roll up in there. They can't get me stable enough to give me chemotherapy, because I've been up for a freaking week. So they tell me to come back tomorrow. But tomorrow I don't freaking make it, because tomorrow I was on my way to chemotherapy and I saw this really cool trash pile. And I got saving my life in one hand and going through the garbage in the other. And I'll spend 6 hours in the garbage and never make it to chemotherapy. Then pretty soon chemotherapy got in the way of my using. So I quit going to that too. Well, I still had a catheter hanging out of my chest, this main artery heart valve that's supposed to be flushed and accessed on a regular basis. And I don't go back for 4 years. But I wasn't supposed to live for 4 years, And I don't know until I get into recovery how all that went down, and I'll share it with you in just a minute. But the time I was supposed to die any day, so it didn't matter. So now I'm back in the box. I pushed my family away. And since I look so attractive, all 80 sucked up pounds of me got a new boyfriend. And he moved out of his house into the box with me. Right? Because he's not sick either, huh? Because we know how to pick them, don't we? Yeah, so he moves out of his house into the box with me. And you know how it is when it's all brand new, right? We're all hooking up and hanging out. And it's all really cool, you know what I'm saying? So I get pregnant again. And then I get pregnant again. And now I got 2 more kids with this guy. And he's a lot like the first guy. So he goes on to jail too, but he goes on to DOC and he don't get back out. So now I'm back in the box. I got 2 little kids, but I've done this before and I know how to do it. Plus, I got this catheter thing hanging out of my chest, and that proves that I'm a victim. And people just feel sorry for me and give me stuff. Because we know how to play the victim, don't we? So I get me a travel trailer. And I pull this travel trailer up into the lot. And me and the kids move out the box into the travel trailer. And I rented out the box. Right? It was a really nice box. I'm a tweaker. You don't live somewhere for a while without fixing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'd fix that shit. Before I moved out of that box, it had blue carpeting, a piece of white sectional, mirror wall, French door, and an AC unit. I had the baddest box on the block. For reals. And I rented that out to dude. Me and the kids are in the travel trailer. Isn't long after we're in there, though, the sheriff department swoops in on us and raids the box. Full-on drug task force, ninjas with hoods marching in 2 by 2, breaking off into pairs. Helicopter got it all lit up like a football field. Street shut down for a box in a field. Now, since the property is technically mine, everything on the property is technically mine, including the meth lab that they found in the box. So I go to jail. Child Protective Services takes my children. Blah, 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 17 felony counts, all that stuff that goes with meth labs, chemicals, glassware, distribution, controlled substance, sale, all that stuff. Plus 2 counts of child abuse for having my children living at a meth lab. So now I'm in jail. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever gone to jail before, but I bet if you did, you made the same decision I made when you got there. I'm going to quit now. I'm done. This is the last time I'm going to end up in here, right? And I'm not coming back here again. I'm done. And I meant that shit. I meant that with everything I had in me. I was done. See, I don't know. I don't know what the big book tells me. I don't know nothing about the big book. I don't know that at some point in my using, I passed through a point where I've lost the ability to choose whether I get high or not. And this usually happens long before I'm aware of it, right? So I don't even freaking know. And I think now that I'm in jail, I'll just decide to stop. And because now that I've decided, I just will. Right? So I'm in jail for quite a while, and eventually I'm able to work a deal with pretrial services and bond and get out of jail pending sentencing, right? And I get out of jail, and the book calls it a firm resolution. I made a firm resolution not to get high anymore. on one side of the fence. But on the other side of the fence, though, as I'm walking out the gate, I swallow a rock, I hit the pipe, I never made it out of the jail parking lot. I never made it out of the jail parking lot. I had all the good reason in the world not to get loaded. And it never ceases to amaze me how much of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is in my life before I ever knew it existed. Because right then, right there, in that moment, when I walked out of that jail, the big book talks about me. It tells me I can't bring to my consciousness with sufficient force the memory and suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. I am without defense. There's no mental defense against the next time I get loaded, you see. It doesn't matter if I'm a mommy. It doesn't matter if I have important things to do. None of that shit matters. I just get high because it's just what I do. I don't talk myself out of it. I don't say, no, maybe I shouldn't. He said here and I said okay. So I don't know if you guys have ever stayed up all night before, but I have. And that night I sure did. And if you stayed up all night, you know what I'm talking about. You know how we have a moment of clarity when the sun comes up? The sun comes up and I'm like, oh shit, I wasn't going to do that again. You know, I got stuff to do today. You know, I got important stuff to do today. You know all that important stuff we do when we're loaded, right? I got important stuff to do today. And so like I start tripping, right? I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And this is where we start fabricating bullshit and making up lies, you know? It's like, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I know. I'll just take a little nap, right? If I take a nap, they won't be able to tell I'm tweaking, right? They won't be able to tell. And then I'll tell them some shit like, yeah, I was on the bus on my way to drop that UA thing, and the bus broke down. It's not my fault. I was going to drop a UA, but the bus broke down. Fabricating bullshit and making up lies. And the only person believing any of that crap was me. So trust and believe. If you're still playing the game, the only person believing any of that crap is you. Because, see, the people around you, they know. And the people that love you, they know. And I know that because it's a fact of my experience. But anyway, in the course of doing all that stuff, I had to do this outpatient treatment thing at this Taro's place, right? And in this outpatient treatment group, there was one person completely okay with not getting high anymore. What is that about? How do you get okay with that? I don't understand, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of tripping on this chick, and I'm like, come here, you got to talk to me. I need to talk to you. You need to tell me how to be okay without being high. Because that dope, when they took away my dope, they took away the only thing in my life that ever made me feel okay. So I don't believe that I'm ever going to be okay again. I'm never going to have fun. I'm never going to have friends. Sex is going to suck. Nothing is ever going to be okay again. How do you get okay with that? And she says, these 12-step meetings. I'm like, what the hell's a 12-step meeting? She says, after group, I'll take you over this place and show you. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So after group, we went over to this Alano Club place, right? And I walk in the building, and I see that they have meetings all day long. Start like 7:30 in the morning, went almost 10 o'clock at night, you know? And I walked into the meeting that was happening back at that time, and back then they still smoked in the building, you know what I mean? So the whole room's all filled with smoke. People are all hugging each other and laughing and smiling and fronting like they're friends, because people like that don't hang out, I know, you know what I'm saying? And so like I go all the way to the back of the room where we all go when we're brand new, and I'm sitting back there and I'm listening to them all lie to each other. I've been sober 3 years. It's over 5 years. Liars. Nobody laughs about having to stay sober for 5 freaking years. That shit ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? So I am tripping on these people. So anyway, I learned something though from that very first meeting. For that 1 hour, I didn't get loaded. This is my new plan. They have meetings here all day long. I'm going to walk my happy butt up here in the morning, and I'm going to sit down in the back of one of these rooms, and I'm just going to go to meeting after meeting after meeting all freaking day long. And then all I got to do is go home and go to bed, and then get up and do it again tomorrow. And maybe if I do that, I can stay sober for the whole day. And then if I should start adding up a couple days, then maybe I can get these freaking people that are now in my life out of my life. And so that became my plan. And that's what I did. I would walk up there and I'd sit down in the back of the room, and I wasn't trying to look pretty, and I wasn't trying to fit in, and I wasn't trying to make friends, because I didn't care if you liked me. I didn't care because I wasn't trying to like you. And I would sit back there and I would dissect everything everybody said. Liar, bullshit, you know that witch is still high, things like that, you know what I'm saying? And I would just dissect these people. But there was some lady up at the podium talking one day about how she gave up her multi-million-dollar home for a prescription drug problem. I'm like, lady, please, I live in a box in South Phoenix. You want to come stay night with me up there frickin' whining for? You know what I mean? I'm just dissecting this poor lady. But 3 weeks later, after going to meeting after meeting after meeting, I hear the same lady talking. And I'm absolutely floored this time. Because what I hear this time is that she's just like me. What? She's like me. So see, now I'm starting to listen a little different. And I'm starting to talk a little bit. And I'm starting to ask a few questions. And they're all telling me the same thing. They're all telling me I need to get a big book. And I said, I don't got no money for no big book. So they gave me one. And then they told me I need to get a sponsor. I'm like, what the hell's a sponsor? And they gave me one. And then that sponsor lady told me I need to read the book like my life depends on it, because it does. Now I'm thinking, I don't know how that book's going to get between me and my dope, but I'll read it. And I go back and I start reading this book. And in the very front of the book, there's a chapter called The Doctor's Opinion. In the doctor's opinion, it talks about my addiction as a disease. It says it manifests in my body in the form of an allergy. What does that even freaking mean, right? I'm like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? But I come to find out what that means to me. You see, this disease thing, right? This allergy thing. An allergy is just an abnormal reaction to something. If you're allergic to strawberries and you come in contact with strawberries, you're going to have an abnormal reaction that other people don't have. Right? See, those other people can eat strawberries all day long and you can't. And that's what the doctor's trying to help us understand. If we suffer from the disease of addiction, what we have is an allergy. Right? An abnormal reaction to drugs and alcohol. And if we take it into our system, right, we act differently than those other people. Those other people can go to the bar and have a few drinks and go back to their happy little lives. Yeah, I can't. And some of those people can go to the concert on the weekend, snort a line, smoke a bowl, be right back to work on Monday. Yeah, I don't do it like that at all. I don't do it like that at all. You know what I'm saying? And so, but when I read this in the book, I'm like, oh my God, I need to call my sponsor. I'm like, hey, sponsor lady, you know that book you told me to read? Yeah, in the front of the book, there's a chapter called The Doctor's Opinion. In the doctor's opinion, it says, my addiction's a disease, so it's not my fault. It's not my fault I do all that dumb shit because I got that damn disease thing your book be talking about. She laughed at me too and told me to keep reading it. All right, so I go back and I start reading this book because I think I'm going to find some, I'm going to read this book because I'm going to find a bunch more excuses for my bad behavior, because I wasn't looking for a solution to get sober. And I thought I found an excuse for the shit I've been pulling right there in the front of the book, and I called to share my excuse, my sponsor, and she laughed at me. So anyway, I go back and I start reading it like I want to read it now, And then it comes time to go through my first step. And I always share my first step when I share, because my first step is why I'm still here 17 years later. My first step says I'm powerless over my addiction and my life is unmanageable. And although you might have thought some of that stuff were examples of powerlessness, I didn't see it that way. See, for my powerlessness to me didn't happen when I was out there on the street. Because in my delusion, when I had drugs, I had power. Right? My powerlessness happened to me right here in these rooms. When I was about 60 days sober and I didn't have drugs or alcohol to deal with what was going on inside of me. You know what I'm saying? See, the book tells me in there I need to fully concede to my innermost self that I am an addict. And this is my first step in recovery. And I believe that's what happened to me one day in a meeting. It wasn't the topic of the meeting or anything that was going on in my life. It just right then, right there, in that moment, I realized inside of myself what being an addict meant to me. It meant I was going to die. The book tells me to drink is to die. And I couldn't stop, and I couldn't control it, and I couldn't moderate. I tried to do all those things, and I could not. So that means I'm going to use again. And that means that I'm going to die. And I don't want to freaking die. Jail institutions are death. That's how it works for drug addicts. Jail institutions are death. I don't know one single drug addict that's come up in these rooms and says, it just keeps getting better out there. Nobody's said that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't go down like that. You used to, you get sober or you die. That's how that works. So when I was sitting there, though, and I realized that I was a drug addict, and I realized that I couldn't stop, and I realized that I was going to freaking die, I didn't want to die. I finally didn't want to die, And in that moment, I was scared. The book says we come into the room with the desperation of the drowning man. If you are truly drowning, you're afraid you're going to die. And if you're truly drowning and you're afraid you're going to die and somebody throws you a life preserver, what do? You grab a hold of that shit. Because nobody really wants to die. Nobody drowning gets a life preserver thrown at them and they say, nah, never mind. I'm good. And drowns. They don't do that. And that's what this place is for you. And that's what that book's about. And that's what that sponsor's for. And that's what the person sitting next to you is. This is your life preserver. So that you don't have to die from this. You all know somebody that's died from this. And it don't got to be you. It don't got to be you. And I'm grateful for the people that were in the room when I got here. Because nobody told me I better have a plan or I better figure it out. Nobody said, just do the next right thing. If I knew how to just do the next right thing, I wouldn't freaking be here. You know what I'm saying? They told me all I had to do was hold on. To lean on them. To keep coming back. You know? So that I don't die. And so that's what I did. I held on. And they said they'd bring me to shore. And that's what they did. And today I can stand on that shore on my own 2 feet. And it's absolutely my responsibility to be standing on that shore throwing out the next life preserver. Because that's what we do here. The second half of that step, though, was just as powerful, you see. The second half of that step said my life was unmanageable. You know? And although you may think that some of that was unmanageability, of course I thought I was managing just fine up to that point. The unmanageability they talk about is in the big book. It's on page 52. There's a little paragraph. It references the bedevilments. And when on that page, it tells us that we are full of fear, that we are unhappy. We can't seem to make a living. It says we don't know how to have personal relationships. I don't know how to love anybody, and I don't know how to let anybody love me. It also says I'm a prey to misery and depression. What does that even freaking mean? You know what I'm saying? Well, I found out what that means to me. You see, I keep everybody this far away. And I don't really let anybody in, you know, because I built this wall to protect myself. And you know what I'm talking about because y'all got a wall. And I built this wall to protect myself. And the problem with building the wall is that every one of the bricks is a different kind of fear. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. My kids are better off without me. Why try? I'm a piece of shit. Been a piece of shit my whole life. You know what your tape plays. And so we build this wall out of fear. And now what we've done is we built our own prison. And we're trapped behind this damn wall with the one person who thinks the least of us. Ourself. And the tape keeps playing. Your kids are better off without you. You know, you're a bad mom. If you cared about your kids, you'd just a freaking peer. You're never going to be more than a piece of shit, right? And it just keeps playing. And I need it to stop, and I can't freaking stand it, right? So, and I feel like nobody cares. But nobody can care for me even if they want to because I don't let them in behind my wall, you know? So I'm lonely. And I'm angry. And it's cold and it's dark and it's ugly and the tape keeps playing. Piece of shit. You're always going to be a piece of shit. You don't freaking matter. You're never going to freaking matter. And I can't stand it. And I can't freaking stand it. And I stay back there as long as I can stay back there. Until I can't do it anymore, right? I just can't do it anymore. And I reach for something to make this stop. I just need it to stop. And I get high. Or I hurt myself. So you see, that's the stuff. That's the stuff that's going to take us back out. And that's the stuff that's going to kill us if we don't learn how to work on it. The shit that goes on between our head and our heart. It's not the outside stuff. The outside shit, them's consequences. You do drugs and alcohol long enough, you're going to have some consequences, right? What happens when they shut off electric? We light a candle. What happens when we wreck our car? We steal a bike. We can roll with consequences. That shit don't take us out. It's the inside stuff that we don't know how to manage. And that's the stuff that the rest of the steps are outlined to help you work on so that when this goes off, it don't take you back out. Right? I'll share something else with you. When I was about 10 months sober, I went back to the doctor. Because I still had a catheter hanging out of my chest. You know? And I rolled up in there and they thought I died. That's why I didn't come back. You know what I mean? I roll up in there. I'm like, hey. And they're like, whoa. And I'm like, what? And everybody's tripping. And then like for the next 3 weeks, I got all this crazy testing going on. I got bone marrow biopsies and lymph node biopsies and blood work and shit, you know? And then my test results come back. And my cancer was gone. It was gone like it was never there, gone. Now, I truly believe that I didn't die those times that I OD'd. And one night my friend got shot in the head and the chest in my box trying to defend me, and it wasn't me. And the reason cancer didn't kill me is because I'm supposed to be standing here right now in this moment talking to you. And as much as I tried to get in the way of God's plan, it's not my plan. You see, God saved my ass for a reason. Because my experience can help somebody else. And guess what? He saved you all for the same reason. See, you all got a story to tell. And your story don't got to be like mine. Whatever your experience is, whatever you bring to the table today, there's somebody sitting in the back of the room somewhere going through some shit that you've already walked through. And if you don't share, they may never know how to get through it. They may never know how. So the fact that you're sitting here tonight, that's a gift. What do you want to do with your gift? It's okay to have hope. And it's okay to dream. It's okay to want for more than you ever have. Because see, you don't ever have to feel the way you felt when you got here. You don't ever have to live the way you were living. You don't ever have to. Right? Let me tell you what I do with my gift. I raised all 5 of my kids as a single mom in sobriety. I have my 5 kids and I got 11 grandchildren. You know, I've had the same job for 15 years. I drive a new car. I own my own house, and that's the outside stuff. The inside stuff's even better. I'm really comfortable in my own skin today. You know? And I walk through my door at the end of the day, and little grandbabies run up to me, and they're like, Grandma, Grandma! You know, and I grab a hold of them and walk in the kitchen like this with them stuck to me. You know how you do, right? And I'll sit down at the table because, see, my boy will cook me dinner. And most of my sobriety, most of my kids are grown now, and they're living on their own. But most of the time that I was getting sober, my children and I ate dinner together at the table as a family. You know, we weren't just at the same place at the same time. We were sharing our lives. You know, and then when I get home at night, my boy cooks me dinner, and then he'll start to clean the kitchen or put the babies to bed, and I'll go in my room and I'll sit on the end of my bed and I'll talk to my God. And no matter what happens in my life today, drama, trauma, fear, I'm going to lay my head on my pillow tonight, and I know that I'm going to be all right. And I know that because my God's got me. And I know that because I talk to Him every day. And then I'm going to get up in the morning, and I'm going to sit on the end of my bed, and I'm going to talk to my God. And I'm going to get to do it again. I'm going to get a dozen days to be mommy and grandma and a girlfriend and an employee, a sponsor, a sponsee. I get another day to live. See, this place here, these things, this meetings, these people, they taught me how to live. They taught me how to live indoors. Taught me how to take a shower whether I needed it or not. How to brush my teeth again. You know what I'm saying? They taught me how to suit up, show up, be responsible, be respectable, right? Be the woman that I am today. I learned that here. You know? I learned that from you. You know, I sometimes I sit on the end of my bed though, you know, and I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like overwhelmed with gratitude. Because you see, I can't believe a junkie like me gets to live the life that I live today. You know what I'm saying? I can't freaking believe it. I've been absolutely blessed to share the story I just shared with you all over the world. Like, they flew me to New York, and they put me up on some 34th floor of some fancy hotel in Manhattan and took me on this buggy through the big old park and to a Broadway show and shit. They flew me to Sweden twice. I spoke in London 3 times. And I'm a junkie from South Phoenix that lived in a bog. You know what I'm saying? And they freaking treat me like a rock star. You know what I mean? I'm a crack rock star, but I'm a rock star. You know? And that's for real. And see, you all got the same opportunity that I have. Right? Because you see, I'm just like you. We're all the same. You know, you all have the same opportunity to have. I know we feel like we screwed up our life so bad that this is where we ended up. But this isn't where we ended up. This is where we start. And if you didn't start yesterday, start today. And if you screw up tomorrow, start again. Right? Because God saved your ass because you matter. You all know somebody that hasn't made it to that chair. And here you sit. Right? Because you matter. Because you can make a difference. Right? Because you have the ability to save lives. Are you kidding me? Don't teach yourself short of that. You know? So I know that sometimes when we're sitting here and you hear somebody up at the podium and they're talking about, yeah, I've been sober a long time. You're like, yeah, right, whatever. I can't stay sober today. How do you stay sober? Tell me how to stay sober today. Right? Well, when you get here, they teach you some stuff. They tell you to do some things. You hear it everywhere you go. Right? Try to go to a meeting every day. Get a big book. Work the steps. Get a sponsor. Right? They tell you that shit. You know why they tell you that shit? Because that's the shit that works. Right? Because that's how you do it. You know? So if you're wondering how to get sober today, grab a hold of somebody that's sober today. You know? Lean on somebody that's doing it. That's what we're here for. You know what I mean? And then you do those things. You just do those things. From the time you get up to the time you go to bed, you live your life to the very best of your ability. You don't have to be better than anybody else. You don't have to be more spiritual than anybody else. If all you can do today is get out of bed and not get loaded, good fucking job. That's exactly what you're here to do. Right? And we get to do those kinds of things here. You know, I can't express enough gratitude for the life that I'm living today. You know what I mean? So as we come into these rooms and they teach us some things and we practice those things and we keep doing them, one day adds to another day, and then boom, 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 I'm 17 years sober. And how the hell did I stay 17 years sober? Because the shit they taught me in the beginning, I'm still freaking doing it. I didn't come in here, get some stuff, and go out there and try to handle life. I'm still doing the same stuff they taught me when I got here. I still go to about 5 meetings a week. It's a little weird right now because of all that's going on. But you know what? I stay connected still. You know what I mean? I never have less than 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sponsees somewhere between steps 1 and steps 12. I'm still in the book. I've had service commitments since the day I got here. My home group put me in front of the home group chair in the meetings from the very beginning. I know I had a home group for 15 years. When that home group went dark, I started another one. I've had H&I commitments in the jail for over 12 years. That's the stuff that works. Suit up, show up, be responsible, you know? And that's what I do. You know, so I hope you guys got something out of what I shared. I hope you stay willing enough to do the work. Thank you for letting me share.